30 years ago, I left this place believing the mountains and forests had nothing to offer but boredom. Today, I've come back, but this time, I'm not alone. I brought two friends from overseas, Free and Iris, so they could see my homeland for the very first time. And somewhere along the way, I realized something. Maybe I'm the one rediscovering this place, as if I were seeing it for the first time in my life. Welcome to Vietnam's Central Highlands. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes.
I used to think that leaving home was how we discovered the outside world. But there was something I never expected. Sometimes coming home is the most profound journey of discovery of all. This is Dak Lak, a province that went through one of Vietnam's largest administrative mergers in 2025, when the entire former province of Phu Yen was incorporated into it, connecting the Central Highlands all the way to the coastline of central Vietnam. But to me, none of that really matters. To me, this is simply home. And today, I'm bringing two friends with me, Free and Iris from the Netherlands, to see the Central Highlands through the eyes of someone arriving here for the very first time. The first thing Free and Iris say to me, they love the cool air, the slight chill, and the thick morning mist covering the road. I have to admit, that surprises me. After living for so long under the intense sunshine of Ho Chi Minh City, I had almost forgotten that my hometown has a cold season too. A time when the sun hasn't yet climbed above the coffee plantations, and the whole landscape seems wrapped in fog.
Poor Iris. She didn't bring anything warm enough to wear, and she looks genuinely skeptical when I tell her that here you can experience all 4 seasons in a single day. From late at night until early morning, it feels like winter. Cold air, heavy mist, a chill that settles into your skin. Then, around 8 in the morning, the sun begins to rise. The light cuts through the fog, and suddenly it feels as though spring has arrived. Golden sunlight spills through the mist, and then comes this fragrance, sweet, almost overwhelming. Coffee blossoms, white flowers spreading across the plantations, not just in 1 or 2 gardens, across the entire highland landscape, as though every coffee farm decided to bloom at exactly the same time. By 10 or 11 in the morning, summer begins to take over. The temperature rises quickly. The last cicadas of the season can still be heard. The sky becomes startlingly clear. And somehow, within only a few hours, it feels as though we've traveled from winter straight into the middle of a central Vietnamese summer. This is March in the Central Highlands, the season when bees gather nectar, a moment that feels completely unique to this land. And here, this is the primeval forest my grandfather used to tell me about, night after night, sitting beside the window of our stilt house.
He told me the story of Chief Dam San, the legendary hero who was powerful and fearless enough to challenge even the gods, setting out to find the goddess of the sun and bring her back as his wife. To me, Dam San's determination represents something deeper, a longing for freedom, something my ancestors passed down through generations, a force running through our blood. "30 years ago, there was another young man, a descendant of that same land, who crossed the forests searching for a much wider world, determined to build a life and make something of himself. That young man was me. Maybe I should thank that spirit, the part of me that always wanted to explore, conquer, and push beyond the mountains. But perhaps it is that same spirit that has brought me back here today."
This is Nguyen Van An, a local tour guide. He's going to help me explain to Free and Iris why people in the Central Highlands traditionally build their stilt houses so high above the ground. The first reason for building stilt houses was safety, to protect people from wild animals, snakes, and other dangers while living deep in the forest. The second reason was practical. The space underneath could be used for livestock and vehicles. Inside the house, there was always a fire burning in the center. It provided warmth and helped keep mosquitoes away. And bamboo was probably the most important plant of all. People used it for weaving, construction, and household tools. During the rainy season, they also harvested bamboo shoots for food. Whatever they couldn't finish was dried and stored for the dry season.
Most ethnic communities here traditionally depend on agriculture. There are two main types of rice: upland rice, grown on mountain fields during the rainy season, and wet rice, cultivated in lower valleys and plains. Think about that. An entire system of survival built around bamboo, water, forest, and rice. And this next part makes Free and Iris stop and listen carefully. It makes me stop too, even though I grew up here. In the Central Highlands, the legend of the goddess of the sun is not simply a beautiful story. It reflects the deep matrilineal traditions of many communities here. Women are regarded as central figures in life and family. There is one custom I have never forgotten. A newborn child is not yet fully recognized as a person until a ceremony known as blowing into the ears is performed, symbolically giving the child its soul and welcoming it into the human community. And here is the remarkable part. In most traditional ceremonies of the Central Highlands, the ritual prayers are spoken by men. But during this particular ceremony, the person performing the invocation is a woman. I went through that ceremony myself. My own grandmother performed it for me. Maybe that is why, where I come from, women have always seemed to possess a mysterious kind of authority, almost like goddesses who bring new souls into the world. This staircase is traditionally for women. Under the matrilineal customs here, when a young man and woman fall in love during a festival and they agree to be together, the woman goes home and tells her parents. Her family then visits the young man's family to formally ask for the marriage. If both sides agree, the bride's family provides the wedding arrangements, and the celebration may last 2 or 3 days. After the wedding, the husband moves into his wife's family home. Then he shows us something else. No man in the village is traditionally allowed to use this staircase, except the woman's husband. The staircase on the other side is for men. It is shaped like a turtle, symbolizing the idea of moving slowly but surely. Once you begin something, you see it through. You see, even a staircase here tells a story about power, gender, family, and identity. And this is what I love most about showing my culture to friends from other countries. What place in the Central Highlands has impressed me the most? That is almost impossible to answer. Every road, every mountain, every smell, somehow all of them bring back memories. But then I remember, and I take them to the place I used to dream about when I was a child. Free, Iris, do you realize the rocks beneath your feet were formed from ancient volcanic activity thousands of years ago? For the Ede people, this waterfall is called Dre Sop, meaning smoke waterfall.
It is one of the most powerful waterfalls in this region, but it also carries a sacred story. According to legend, there was once a young Ede woman named Humi. Every day, she would go to the fields with the man she loved. Then, one day, they saw a terrifying creature in the sky. Its head was as large as a mountain. Its eyes were as big as bronze cooking pots. Its body was covered in scales that glittered like silver. The creature flew through the sky, lowered its trunk toward the earth, and unleashed a violent downpour before disappearing. Humi vanished into the mist, and the young man was transformed into a giant tree, its roots buried deep in the rocks. My grandfather used to point toward the sky and tell me, whenever a white cloud shaped like a young woman appears on the horizon and drifts down toward an ancient tree, heavy rain and strong winds are coming to the upper reaches of the waterfall. That was how my ancestors forecast the weather. Not with satellites, not with radar, but through a tragic love story passed down for generations.
If you travel through the Central Highlands, it's worth hiring a local guide. If you already know the destinations and have a map, you can also travel by motorbike into remote forest areas. There are many places to explore, including the former residence of Emperor Bao Dai, where the king once stayed when he came here to hunt. From the residence, you can see beautiful scenery in almost every direction. This residence stands in the area now known as Bundan Commune, formerly Krong Na Commune in the old Bundan district, and that name is connected to another legend, one I'm about to tell you. I couldn't finish this video without talking about the elephants. They are inseparable from the image of the Central Highlands, almost like old friends of the forest. Elephants are not only among the largest and most intelligent animals on land, they also play an important role in balancing entire ecosystems. In the past, when humans were still relatively powerless against the wilderness, my ancestors relied on the strength of elephants to move through and survive in the deep forest, in much the same way that people on the open grasslands depended on horses for speed. But here's the detail I love most. Every elephant belonging to a Central Highlands family traditionally has a name, just like a human being. When there is a wedding or a funeral in the family, people may perform a ritual to inform the elephant, as though it were another member of the household. And whenever I think about elephants, I think of one legendary figure from this land, Ama Kong, the famous elephant hunter who lived for more than a century. To me, he was more than a celebrated king of elephant hunters. He became almost like an old father figure of the Central Highlands itself, the great forest homeland that so many of its children eventually feel drawn back to. Our journey is now moving into late afternoon, and the familiar chill of the mountains is slowly returning. 30 years ago, I left this place believing the forest and mountains were boring. Today, after taking Free and Iris through these roads, these stories, these legends, I realized that I was wrong for all those years. Anyone who comes to the Central Highlands even once will probably leave with a sense of awe for this vast and powerful land. As for me, I think all I can do now is love my homeland more fiercely, more passionately, with every passing day. If this video makes you want to grab your backpack and come here yourself, hit like, subscribe, and leave Central Highlands in the comments below. Next time, I'll take you even farther,
into villages deeper inside the great forests of Vietnam's Central Highlands. I'll see you in the next video.